Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is the dark tale of the day. Let me take this moment to reintroduce myself. I am the Gothic Rose, hostess of the Dark Entertainment Network. This is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories and makes babies in my brain, and it comes out my mouth. I do this because I enjoy it. If you like this type of content, please follow along, because I'm not going to stop. Hello, dear fiends of the Den. As we continue the Haunted Hollywood History series, I thank you for your patience. On Friday, there was an outage with the system I use, which is Canva. So I did a little quick episode where I talked just a bit about the women I'll continue speaking about this week, which are Mary Pickford, Daisy and Violet Hilton, the conjoined twins, and Baby June and Gypsy Rose Lee, the Havoc sisters. But today I'm focusing on the achievements of Mary Pickford. And thank you to everyone out there, the old and new subscribers. I appreciate you all so much. So, as we know, Mary Pickford's career began in vaudeville, which was a big variety act of stage performers that would put on anything from singing and dancing to magician acts and pet tricks. Now, this started to fade out by the early 30s, but in the early 1900s, as a child, Mary Pickford was in two of these theater troupes called The Silver King and Uncle Tom's Cabin. Now, by 1909, Mary Pickford starred in the silent short film The Violin Maker of Cremona. Now, this film was directed by D.W. Griffith. So, this was Mary's first role at 17 years old, and the story is set in Cremona, Italy. So, it revolves around a violin making contest where the winner not only earns a gold chain, but the hand of the violin maker's daughter, Giannina, and this is played by Mary Pickford. And the film also stars Herbert Pryor and Owen Moore. Now, this film is very notable for showcasing Mary Pickford's talent at the beginning of her illustrious career, and it was produced by the Biograph Company. It's considered a classic example of early silent cinema, and she was so expressive in her silent films that she just took her stage training as a child and was able to connect still with the audience through the screen. Now, a little bit about Cremona, Italy, which is renowned for its tradition of violin making, and this dates back to the 16th century. So, Cremona is home to legendary luthiers like Andrea Amati, who is credited with inventing the modern violin, and Antonio Stradivari, whose violins are considered masterpieces of craftsmanship and sound quality. And there's also the Guarneri family and Francesco Ruggieri. So the art of violin making in Cremona is recognized as an intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO. So the Cremonese luthiers use traditional techniques, crafting each instrument by hand with carefully selected and seasoned wood. And this meticulous process ensures that no two violins are identical, each making a unique sound. So Cremona today continues to celebrate its violin making heritage through institutions like the International Violin Making School and the Violin Museum. And the city also hosts workshops and events that preserve and promote the centuries old craft. And they preserved this in Hollywood in 1909, not knowing that over 100 years later, they would still be creating these violins in Cremona, Italy. Now, interestingly, Mary Pickford, one of the strongest and most artistic voices in the history of Hollywood, was not without scandal. Her one scandal was her affair with Douglas Fairbanks, whom she married and then later divorced, who was friends with D.W. Griffith, director of her first film in 1909, The Violin Maker of Cremona. But she still went on and pushed through all of the scandals to rise to the top. And that's why she really should be celebrated. Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. She was one of the 36 founding members of the Academy in 1927, along with Douglas Fairbanks, her husband at the time. So all of these guys were friends, but she ends up in this affair with Douglas Fairbanks. They get married, and along with D.W. Griffith, who directed her first movie, and Charlie Chaplin, they helped create the Academy. Now, this was initially created to unify the film industry, improve working conditions, and elevate filmmaking to the status of fine arts. The Oscars, or the Academy Awards, were introduced as part of this mission to honor outstanding achievements in cinema. And Mary Pickford received 2 Oscars in her lifetime. She won the second Oscar ever, Best Actress, in 1930 for her performance in Coquette, which was her first ever sound film. And then later in 1976, she was honored with an honorary Academy Award for her unique contributions to the film industry and development of cinema as an art form. And of course, we know that Mary Pickford's influence extended beyond acting and the creation of the Academy Awards. She was co-founder of United Artists and a trailblazer for women in the industry. So, of course, her legacy is still celebrated to this day with the Mary Pickford Center for Motion Picture Study in Los Angeles. And this is named in her honor. It's actually the Pickford Center for Motion Picture Study in Los Angeles. And of course, there is the Mary Pickford, her foundation. Now, the first Academy Awards ceremony took place on May 16th, 1929, at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel in Los Angeles. It was a private dinner event with about 270 attendees, and the tickets cost $5 each. The ceremony lasted only 15 minutes, and the winners had been announced 3 months in advance. This was the very modest beginning for what would become the most prestigious event in entertainment. I've actually got a really cool book here. It's called The Envelope, Please, and it is a history of the Oscars from 1929 to 1999. So Mary Pickford is mentioned in here, along with so many others. If that's something you want to check out, I highly recommend this book. And just so you know, on the inside, it says the Academy Awards, Oscar, and the Oscar statuette are registered trademarks and service trademarks, and the Oscar statuette is copyrighted property of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has in no way prepared, approved, licensed, authorized, or endorsed this book or any of its contents. And what you can get in this book is what director is known for his Westerns, won the most Oscars for directing, none for a Western. What was the first remake to win Best Picture? Who was the first person to reject his Oscar in protest? Who was the only Nobel laureate to win an Academy Award? What 4 musicals won the Best Picture Oscar in 1960? What Best Song winner was the best-selling popular song of the 1970s? And who the hell is Jack Valenti? So if this interests you and you know the answers to any of these, leave me a comment and we will talk more about these fantastic women for the rest of the week. Thank you for joining me. in the den.